Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the 26th episode of Some Casual Takes, a podcast hosted by me, Stephen Pepper, featuring other sports fans debating interesting topics with the most casual takes. This episode is brought to you by no one. Please sponsor me. We're 26 episodes in, and that hasn't changed. Solo pod today. Because like I said, I've been trying to, for the Monday shows, keep it just me so I can just, recap the shows. And I think I could do a good job of just holding down the fort on Mondays. And Fridays, we get more people involved and do more debate topics. But Monday is just me giving my opinions on the sports that happened over the weekend. I did go live on Friday solo, and it didn't really go so well. I really just wanted to talk about Boston, and I kind of just rambled on for the rest of the show. So I just scrapped it and ended it early. And I deleted it. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I ended up posting what I wanted to say on TikTok. So follow me on TikTok because at some points I'm going to try to do it more. Since there's a huge gap in between my shows, Monday and Friday, there's days where I just can't cover topics on the shows because it just becomes old news. And I'm going to start doing more on TikTok instead of posting just episode highlights, just post news of what I want to say, give my opinions on topics that would become old news if I talked in another show. And it'll keep my account, make my account better. Then it's not just, episode highlights. And I've also been dealing with Wi-Fi issues too. Since being in this house, the Wi-Fi is terrible. And it really hurt Friday's show too. I was rewatching, I was lagging, I was glitching all over the place. I couldn't clip it because the connection was bad. So hopefully it holds for this because I can't not post this because I have a lot to talk about and I don't want to take like over a week off from shows. So here we go. Episode 26. Let's get straight into it. So yesterday was the women's national championship for college basketball. And, it was the first time where not from start to finish, but I watched a lot of women's college basketball. Women's basketball is not something I'm a huge fan of because I don't really find it particularly as entertaining as other sports. And since there's so many sports, I can't watch them all. But man, was I wildly entertained by this March Madness. Shout out to the women who played and really put on and did tremendous things for women's sports. And they're getting a lot of media coverage throughout the month, really competing with the men. I think the women in this tournament are honestly competing with the men, to be honest, in terms of views and ticket prices. So shout out to them taking the sport into the right direction. But a huge headline came from Sunday, and that was that headline was in the championship game when LSU star player Angel Reese taunted the star player of Iowa, Caitlin Clark, and it was national headlines. It got more attention in the game. It was national headlines, and there's a huge controversy about it because as soon as it happened, a lot of people went on Twitter, and a lot of people were mad that Angel Reese was kind of rubbing it in, taunting someone when they're up big in the final seconds of the game, about to win, taunting a player who's about to lose. And a lot of people didn't like it, say it was classless, stuff like it was mean. And I'm seeing all this on Twitter, all this backlash from people. And I'm over here like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why there's any backlash. And I don't understand. Stephen Pepper, I am not against what Angel Reese did. So Angel Reese, she was going like this. Caitlin Clark popularized it. She was going like the doing I can't see you. She was pointing to a ring to Caitlin Clark, like I am about to win a championship. She was pointing to a ring. She was doing all that. And like I said, a lot of people were mad. But me, I'm not against what Angel Reese did. It's sports. It happens. It's sports. It happens. They're competitors. There's pride on the line. It's normal emotion. What do you expect from a sports game when people are competing for something as big as a championship? I'm not against what Angel Reese did, but I see why there's huge backlash. And the backlash from the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark situation is exposing a huge problematic viewpoint in the sports world that and we have to have this conversation, that a lot of Americans view black trash talk and white trash talk as two different things. And this is no disrespect to Clark. She is the best player in college basketball. She drew my attention to a sport that I didn't really pay much attention to. She is going to she's going to leave such an influence on the women, on college basketball for the women. But people see a white girl doing it. People see a white girl taunting, a white girl talking trash, and they think it's cool. ESPN literally made a video like 3 days ago, leading up to the championship game, calling her the queen of clapbacks. People saying, and people do instead of like I'm him for Caitlin Clark, people are saying it's like an I'm her moment. They're saying her trash talk is like an I'm her moment instead of like I'm him. But when a black girl does it with natural hair and lashes and tattoos, it is now classless and it's mean. And I don't understand it. Luka Doncic literally did the same thing last year. Remember the Phoenix Suns series, West semis last year? Phoenix was taunting the Mavs throughout the series. They were up in the series. And then in the final minutes of Game 7, Luka Doncic and the Mavs are blowing them out, and Luka is taunting, getting up in the face of Devin Booker. And they praised Luka. They praised him for his competitive spirit. And I'm not saying that is exactly competitive spirit. We should be praising Luka for. I'm not disagreeing that we should be praising Luka for competitive spirit. Yeah, I agree. That is competitive spirit. I love when players do that in sports. I love that Caitlin Clark was talking some trash. You know what I'm saying? But we have to apply the same praise to girls like Angel Reese. What Angel Reese did was just a mockery of what Caitlin Clark was doing all tournament. And LSU didn't like it. That's why they did it. Caitlin Clark throughout the tournament was doing many, many situations where she's up in games, late in situations where she's just trash talking opponents. Against Louisville, she's over there saying, "You're down 15, shut up." Against South Carolina, she disrespects a player by saying, "Take that shot. I don't respect your jumper." Like she's Ben Simmons. Like she doesn't deserve to be on the court. And then now she's doing that, walking to the sideline, doing the John Cena, like, you can't see me. I don't disagree that I like her doing that. I love Caitlin Clark doing that. But you also have to love Angel Reese doing it as well. If Clark was up big in the national championship game, if we flipped the scoreboards and Iowa was the one up, Clark would literally be taunting Reese. And I don't have a problem with it. But what I do have a problem is that you see a black girl, you see a white girl doing all this taunting, and you think it's cool. And you think, and then when you see a black girl doing it, you think it's classless. And it's crazy. I'm noticing now this huge idea and this perspective in sports. When a white person trash talks, a Luka, a Larry Bird, it's celebrated. But then when a black person does it in a similar situation, it's seen as classless, mean, and they don't receive the same praise. They're looked differently. It's looked like something like Angel Reese pointed out. It's looked like it's ghetto. It's looked like it's not classless, worth of class. Angel Reese pointed it out. Like I said, I don't disagree with Caitlin Clark doing what she did. I don't disagree. That's just competitive nature. That's what people do in sports at all levels. People in LA Fitness do it. People in the NBA do it. People in high school basketball do it. That's just what they do. It's sports. A lot of emotions on the line. But keep that same energy for Angel Reese. Don't flip it. Don't say, you can't pick and choose when it's appropriate, when it's not. Just let it all be acceptable. But we know why you don't accept it all. It's because you see a black girl doing it, and you don't care when a white girl does it. And it's so crazy how a great game happened. A lot of players balled out for LSU. So many players, so many high-level NBA-type three-pointers were getting drained. We're just getting drained. People were hitting threes. People were hitting tough middies. Alexis Morris was balling. But we're not talking about any of those players on LSU. All we're talking about is this. So we had a great game with a lot of runs. A lot of runs went down. High-scoring three-point shots were getting knocked down. High-level shots. But all we're talking about is this. Now on the men's side, let's switch to the men's. their championship games tonight, and it's San Diego State versus UConn. And I'm picking UConn because I think throughout the tournament you can't win, you can't blow out an opponent like 3 straight games leading up to the tournament and not win. So I'm taking UConn tonight because you can't blow out Arkansas, you can't blow out Gonzaga by 30, you can't handle this team here, you can't handle Miami, all leading up to the tournament and then lose. They're just better than San Diego State, and it showed throughout the tournament. So I'm going to pick UConn. But I really want San Diego State to win because America likes underdog stories. America likes Cinderella runs. One of the most famous March Madness champions ever is the 1983 North Carolina State, Jimmy V's team, because they were the underdog. No one expected them to beat Houston, the great Houston team. No one expected them to beat them, and they did. America likes the underdog, the Cinderella runs, the teams that defied odds, that weren't supposed to get there. It kind of assembles like, it's kind of like the American dream a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like their American dream. Defying odds, getting to the top when you don't have nothing. UConn is one of the greatest college basketball programs of all time. And they're going up against a smaller school that everyone's rooting for in San Diego State, a team that doesn't have the Final Four appearances and the national titles like a UConn, a team that isn't at the top. They're at they're closer to the bottom than they are to UConn. And they're rising all the way through the tournament, rising to the top, and have a chance to get there. And America likes underdog stories, Cinderella runs. And they're picking San Diego State tonight. I really hope San Diego State wins. That would just be a great story to be a 5th seed that I kind of had losing after a game or two. Goes through, wins all these great games throughout the tournament. That buzzer beater against FAU. Buzzer beater in the Final Four to go towards their championship highlights would be insane. It would be one of the greatest runs ever if they can pull it off tonight. I'm rooting for them. I think UConn is going to win because I think they're better, but I am rooting for San Diego State. It's been a great tournament this year. I mean, all around. The Final Four featured not a single 1 seed, not a single 2 seed, not a single 3 seed. And there was only 1 4 seed and 2 5 seeds in a 9 seed. Insane. Not 1 seed, 2 seed, or 3 seed. It's crazy. Now, I have some other problems with the tournament, such as I'll probably talk about it later. Just not this time, but the lack of stars and lack of stars, too many foul calls, too many stoppages. Actually, I'll just talk about it a little bit now since I don't know if I'll talk about it again. But there's a lot of problems I did have with this tournament, despite I like the parity. Really, outside of UConn, a lot of the all-time great college teams didn't make it. Didn't make it this far. Duke lost second round. UNC didn't even make it. Kentucky lost second round. A lot of these teams didn't make it. They didn't make it to the Final Four or Elite Eight. The all-time greatest programs just didn't make it. Michigan State gets bounced out second round. These Sweet 16 or whatever, they're getting bounced out. They're not even making the Elite Eight. All the all-time greatest programs. Michigan, NIT. Louisville, not here. All-time greatest programs, not here. Cincinnati, not here. Ohio State, not here. And it's just a bunch of teams outside of UConn that you would expect Miami's first Final Four, teams' first Final Fours. But there was some negatives, lack of stars. When you look at the college draft class, the projected top 3 players are either in G League or overseas. So the top 3 players that we're supposed to watch college basketball to keep our eyes on, they're not even in college basketball. And I think that's going to be a huge problem in years to come. Stoppage is bad. I don't like the stoppage. Too many foul calls, too many just unnecessary timeouts here or there. The media timeouts, you get 3.5. And then on top of the timeouts that the coaches are calling, so many fouls. It feels like all these players are fouling out. And a lot of clock stoppage. I had a lot of stoppage problems in the Final Four with San Diego State and FAU. I'm like, oh my God, the clock is stopping under the final 4 minutes of the game, the biggest part of the game. I feel like I'm going to commercial break every 2 seconds. And the officiating too. The officiating is just not good at all. They feel like, especially in the LSU game for the women's, feel like they're calling a foul every 2 seconds. Breathe on a player. It's a whistle. Players are fouling out too much. Feel like by the end of each college game, like half the team has 4 fouls. One person fouls out by the end of the game. It just happens. But overall, I think it was a pretty good turn. Okay, now to switch to the NBA. The Lakers last night played the Rockets. I was a happy man last night, bro. I was a happy man last night. They're not clinched. They haven't clinched yet, so I don't want to get like too excited. But man, that 2-10 start with weeks, months being 4 to 6 games below 500, the 2-10 start, and then continuing last year too, because it goes into last year, not making the playoffs, falling out of the play into San Antonio. Feels like the grind of the last 2 seasons, from seeing a championship team go to the straight bottom and see them kind of come back up. It feels really good finally going on ESPN and seeing auto wins for Lakers going on win streaks. I feel like for outside the last 2 years for like a LeBron team, I feel like I can just flip on ESPN, flip on a game, and I just can feel so comfortable that a LeBron team can win games, that it's going to be a win tonight. But for this last year, going back to last year, I never felt comfortable that it was going to be a win. Even against the bottom teams, even against some of the bottom teams in the league, I never felt comfortable that there was going to be a win. But now they're picking up wins. And now that they're picking up wins, I think they put the league on notice. The Lakers are for real, and the league should be scared. The league should be scared. The Lakers are for real, and the league should be scared. Just like Lil Baby said, I'm heating up. You know what I'm saying? Just like Lil Baby said in that song, I'm heating up. 2 games above 500. They're heating up now. They're making that run. They're the 7th seed now, and they're creeping in to that 5th, 6th seed. A lot of people saying, oh, Lakers, still playing team. They're half a game out of that 5th and 6th seed. They're heating up. In a week, in like 2 days or so, there's no games tonight, but in 2 days or so, Lakers can be the 5th seed. Crazy. And all the teams around them are losing too. All the teams around them are losing, which helps. Lakers are winning, and all the teams around them in similar records, they're losing. While the Lakers are on fire to end the season, the teams around them, the teams competing with them record-wise, are losing. Anthony Davis, 40 points against Houston, only missed 5 shots. I've been saying it forever. Anthony Davis is the sole ticket puncher for the Lakers' playoff hopes. Now he has 3 straight games with 30 or more, playing like a top 5 player in basketball, arguably the best defender in the league. Anthony Davis is in the driver's seat, foot on the gas, and he needs to keep it that way. And if he keeps it that way, not many teams competing with the Lakers. And for LeBron James, LeBron James is still coming back from injury. He's missing a couple more layups. I've been seeing on his games back. His spring isn't quite there yet. He's missing some gimme layups at the rim. But I don't even think LeBron James needs to be 30-point per game LeBron James. If LeBron James can just get back to 25 and 8, oh, nothing wrong with that. If LeBron James can just get back to 25 and 8 in this next week, once Bron is back to being Bron, man, because look at all these look at the teams in the West. Let's just look at them. Nuggets. Come on, man. Every time the Lakers have played the Nuggets, going all the way back to the bubble, the Lakers have just out-physicaled them. Anthony Davis is too much for the Nuggets. Who has guarded Anthony Davis for the Nuggets? Jokic is baby food for Anthony Davis. So we got that. Grizzlies are tough. Grizzlies are a tough team, but the Lakers have beaten them a couple times in 2023. Plus, who knows if the Grizzlies make it out the first round. They're going to have a tough first-round matchup, whoever comes out of that 7th seed. Kings, listen, inexperienced, not proven, no defense. We'll see you later. Now, the Suns at the 4th seed, they're tough. So we'll get back to the Suns. Warriors beat them already a couple times in 2023. Ain't worried about them. They don't play as high-level defense as I used to. We don't know when Wiggins is coming back. You know what I'm saying? And they can't win on the road. And the Lakers are probably going to – and if the Lakers can jump them in the standings, they don't have to play in L.A. Warriors are a bad road team. Who else? Who else am I thinking of? Clippers. Everyone else, like the Pelicans. Timberwolves, we ain't worried. Now, 2 teams I'm worried about. Clippers, because the Clippers have seemed like they've always had the Lakers' numbers ever since LeBron's been back. ever since LeBron's been in Lakers, it seems like the Clippers have always had Lakers' number. However, they have health issues, and defensive issues, and they're losing right now. And the Suns are the only team I'm really, really, really scared of, and that's because they have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. We're just going to have to pray the Lakers don't see him to the conference finals. Outside the Suns, though, I'm not worried about any other team. The Lakers put the Lakers. The league should be on notice with the Lakers. What I'm trying to say, the league should be on notice about the Lakers, other than the Phoenix Suns, because I am scared of the Phoenix Suns though, because when you have a guy like Kevin Durant, who's 30 a game, next to a guy named Devin Booker, who's 30 a game, and unlike Kyrie and Luka, who I'm going to get to soon, those guys can play next to each other because Kevin Durant, probably the most versatile player in the league as far as plug and play. Guy who could just put anywhere, get his own without taking up enough shots, be effective without needing 30 shots a game. This duo is crazy. Now, this is a duo where like LeBron and AD need to go for 30. So LeBron and AD need to match Booker, and they need to match Booker and Kevin Durant. That's why I'm praying that they wait to the conference finals, because I want LeBron to get like a playoff series acclimated under his belt, for him to finally shake off all that rust, to get a little bit more spring back. So he can get back to that 30 a game. I said LeBron does not need to be 30 a game, but if Kevin Durant and Booker on the schedule, LeBron needs to be closer to 30 a game. But they need to wait to the conference final, though, because I don't think LeBron's back to being 30 a game just quite yet, off injury. Okay. Now let's go to the Mavs Hawks, like I just said. Tease that a little bit. So the Dallas Mavericks lost an overtime heartbreaking game for that city, 130-132 to the mid 500 Atlanta Hawks. Listen, let's face it, man. Let's face it. The Dallas Mavericks are the worst in season collapse. Maybe not the worst. The Dallas Mavericks are one of the worst, arguably the worst in season collapse in NBA history. Arguably the worst in season collapse in NBA history. Seriously. Before they got Kyrie Irving, the day they traded for Kyrie, they were 29-26 and the 4th seed in the West. And now today, they are 37-42 and they are the 11th seed. Now, I'm not entirely blaming Kyrie. It's not 100% his fault. But Dallas did think that his offensive potential can mask a poor defense. Because remember, they're a really bad defensive team now, but they were still a bad defense team before they got Kyrie. They thought that his offensive potential can mask a poor defensive team. But what this team did not need was superstar buckets. They needed more role-playing two-way ability. Kyrie Irving doesn't bring any two-way ability. So when you just put superstar buckets on a team that doesn't need superstar buckets, it's not going to work. Luka and Kyrie, I also think Jason Kidd, Luka and Kyrie just can't seem to work together at all. Luka and Kyrie can't seem to work together at all. When I put these two guys together, I get buckets and I get two ball dominant. I wouldn't say Kyrie's really ball dominant, but you get what I'm trying to say. Luka and Kyrie can't seem to work together because there's only one basketball. There's only one basketball. These two just don't have the chemistry together. Their play styles don't complement each other at all. It just seems like they just can't both be on at the same time. When they are on the same time, this team can box with anybody in the league. They can box with everyone in the league. When I think about when they were both on, the Phoenix game, they lost that one of Kevin Durant's first games. Remember that Phoenix game in Dallas? They did lose, but it was close. And Kyrie and Luka were both great. The Philly game that they won in Dallas, Kyrie and Luka both had 40 points. So when they're on, both together on, this team's good. They can compete with a lot of teams in the league. But more often than not, they're both on. More often than not, they're not on at the same time. And when they're not on at the same time, their huge defensive gap between their defense shows. Their defense shows. See, what they were hoping for was that Kyrie and Luka can both be on the same time to overcome their terrible defense. But since they're not, that defensive gap is huge. Not only that, Jason Kidd is not a good head coach. He has huge rotational issues. So when you add Kyrie Irving's, when you add the lack of defense, when you add the duo not gelling, when you add Jason Kidd's terrible rotation, this team went from the 4th seed, a team that was just in the conference finals last year, to the 11th seed, just like that. This is the worst in-season collapse, arguably, in NBA history. It's crazy. I expected it, though, when I did make a TikTok as soon as Kyrie Irving was traded to the Mavs. I said on my TikTok, go back to my page, I said, look, this team, when they're both on, could box for anyone in the league. They can't. But I just didn't think they were. But you're going to ask them, but you can't ask them to be on this level, both on that level every game. And since they won't be, because it just can't happen, their lack of defense and depth will show. And it has been losing them many games because they can't be on. They can't give you both 40 a night. They can't. And since they are doing that, no defense, lack of depth, bad coaching, it's showing. And, man, the fact that they are in the 11th seed and aren't about to make the playoffs, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, if they lose, they have about, 4 games left in the season. If they lose a game or two soon, this team could get eliminated from the playoffs this week. Let me look at their final games real quick just to make sure they don't play no Mickey teams. Oh, they play the Kings next? Oh, they have 3 games left. They have Kings, Chicago, San Antonio. They're getting lucky that the Thunder are losing. Some of the play-in teams are losing games, so they're not eliminated yet. Thunder lost last night to Phoenix. They're getting lucky that some of the teams around them aren't winning, so they're still alive despite their losing. But they got the Kings on Wednesday. They lose that Kings game, that might be the nail in the coffin. That might be the nail in the coffin. I think I said, last week that the Mavs lost to Charlotte. Yeah, I said the Mavs lost to Charlotte was the nail in the coffin. This is really the nail in the coffin. I think that game would actually eliminate them from the playoffs. And Chicago ain't playing so bad, too. I think they just lost, though, but they haven't been playing so bad, too. So that, and especially how they're just losing like Atlanta, they probably could lose to Chicago, too. And Atlanta, man, that Atlanta loss is not good because, man, Atlanta's not that good of a team, man. Atlanta's not that good of a team at all. They're 500. Trae Young didn't even play that hot. Trae Young didn't play that hot. Luka didn't play that hot. Like I'm saying, like this team just isn't on at the same time. I was really expecting going in that game, it was just going to be like a Luka Doncic versus Trae Young battle because I just love when they play together because they were traded for each other on draft night. They swapped each other, and it just didn't happen. Both of them didn't play good. It was really a Kyrie masterclass. I want to give Kyrie his flowers real quick before I move on because it seems like I've been hating on Kyrie for a while. Kyrie played great. He has some stinger games, but he has played many great games for the Mavericks. Just the problem is he just doesn't play defense, and he isn't helping on defense. And his co-star, Luka, is not helping whenever Kyrie plays great, more times than not. But when Kyrie's playing great and Luka is playing great, this team, Philly, Phoenix, they compete. But more often than not, it doesn't happen. Okay, so we had some breaking news a few hours ago. Breaking news that Andrew Wiggins is expected to return to Golden State early in this coming week. And then we had some teasers throughout the week. His girlfriend saying, hair stylist, I think it was stylist, like she posted on her Instagram story, like in the Bay Area. So it's confirmed that Andrew Wiggins is in the Bay Area, but we don't know what game he's officially going to come back. But what we do know is he's probably going to come back. We can hope this week or so, which is like the final week of the season. So, hopefully he can come back for the final games of the regular season because boy, do the Warriors need him. Because last night was bad. I keep getting teased by my friends, by people on TikTok Live, that I don't know what I'm talking about with the Warriors. People keep coming and saying the Warriors are going to win the West. People are saying the Warriors are going to the conference finals. They're probably the best team in the West. People saying I hate on the Warriors too much. But then it's like, do you not watch Warriors basketball? I've been saying for a while, your entire faith on Golden State is just blind faith. Oh, they get Gary Payton back. Gary Payton's playing like 5 minutes a game. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Golden State falls again on the road. They're 9-30 on the road. I think they have 8 losses at home. So I think they have one more win on the road than they have losses at home. Another loss on the road. And this is to a Denver Nuggets team without Nikola Jokic. And they lost. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, horrible. The Splash Bros last night were the Brick Bros. And now with this Andrew Wiggins rumor. So if the topic is, the question is today, I've been seeing a lot, is Andrew Wiggins, when he comes back, does that boost Golden State back to that championship level that we expected them from this season and what we got last year when they won it all? And my answer is I don't know. I don't know, because yes, are we expecting him to be back this week? We can expect that. But it's still unclear when he comes back. Because what games is he going to come back? I think the Warriors have 2 games left on the road to end their season. Is he going to play in any of those road games? Because it's not a guarantee that who knows if they win those road games? They're bad on the road. Who knows when he's coming back? Is he going to come back to the regular season at all? Is he going to miss some playoff time? We don't know when exactly he's going to come back. So they could accumulate some more losses before he comes back. And I made a TikTok about it months ago. And people were saying, this is going to be one of your worst takes ever. But I was right. I'm still right. It was when Curry was out, but Wiggins was still out too. I was like, when Curry's out, when Wiggins is out, especially like Wiggins, we don't know when they're going to come back. So they're going to keep tallying losses, especially on the road, while we wait for them to come back. And let's say if they do back, how many losses would they have at that point? And where would they stand in the standings? And when they do come back, how many games will it take them to, get back into that game shape, that flow shape, that Golden State Warriors chemistry shape? How many games will that take? It's hard. Like when let's say if Andrew Wiggins comes back round 1, game 1, he'll miss at that point 25 games around. It's hard to get back in flow, especially a fast-paced Golden State team that requires a lot of cutting, a lot of stamina, a lot of movement, heavy chemistry-based team. And you're going to ask Andrew Wiggins to come back after 25 games of not playing Golden State Warriors basketball, not practicing with the team even, in a playoff scenario when your chemistry is most important. It's hard for him to get back. You're going to ask him to get back in the flow? You're just going to expect Andrew Wiggins to give you 18 a game and elite level defense? Because people keep telling me, wait till Andrew Wiggins comes back. They're going to get a scoring from that front court that's been dreaded all season without Andrew Wiggins. And they're going to get defense from that front court that's been dreaded all year. But it's like, bro, are you going to get that offense soon? Like when he comes back, those first couple of games, are you going to get that offense? Are you going to get that defense? Because he isn't practicing with the team. And if he does come back, does he come back mentally ready? Does he come back mentally ready? Like I don't want to speculate a situation. I'm not. Like if he needs more time, if he can't play for the entire season, that's his decision. I'm not forcing him back. But I'm saying if he does come back, what if he comes back like without the situation resolved? And if he comes back without the situation resolved because he feels so much pressure to come back to Golden State to help him win a championship in the playoffs, would that mentally drain him and take him out of focus too? Because not only would he not be in game shape when he comes back, there could be a chance where like he's not mentally ready to play because he's getting mentally drained by a situation that he came back yet unsolved. And still, I don't think would fix the Warriors' road issues because Andrew Wiggins, they will get better on the road, but not entirely because overall the team just doesn't shoot well on the road. It'll be whatever Curry's shooting great on the road, his teammates aren't shooting great on the road. Whenever his teammates are shooting great on the road, Curry isn't shooting great on the road. So it's like the team, Golden State, still all year hasn't played Golden State basketball. Even with Andrew Wiggins, they just haven't played Golden State basketball when they're on the road. So it's like, would he still be enough to fix the road issues? Because when he does come back, they're most likely going to have to play the entire playoffs unless they somehow become the 4th seed, but I don't think they will. They're going to play the entire playoffs on the road. on the road, unless someone gets upset, here or there. But most likely, they're going to have to play the entire playoffs on the road. That's not good. If you're a horrible road team, you're not winning a championship. You're not making West Finals. You're a horrible road team. Like, no champion no champion has there ever been in the NBA history, entire association, 75 years, has had a negative road record. So we know that. I don't think Andrew Wiggins, if he does come back, will be in shape in time. And we don't know when we don't know what the standings is gonna look like. What are the standings gonna look like? Could Golden State fall to 7 if the Lakers pass them? Could they fall to 7, losing the play-in? Or if they do go in the first round, Memphis isn't scared of Golden State anymore. They could lose to Memphis. Memphis, we saw last game, Klay Thompson was looking insecure, pointing his rings. Memphis ain't scared of Golden State anymore. This isn't last year. They're not owned by Golden State anymore. They're not scared. Dillon Brooks ain't scared. John Morant ain't scared. Like, the team plays up to Golden State level now. It would just be interesting to see how this team will look like when Andrew Wiggins comes back. But if he needs more time off, man, that's his personal thing. Like I said, I'm not speculating what his thing is on this platform. That is not my business to do. All I can talk about is what Golden State will look like in an event if Andrew Wiggins does come back. But as far as why he's missing, as far as when I want him to come back, I'm not going to say that because it's not my business. Okay, let's switch to Bucks 76. So the Bucks and 76ers last night, we had 2 huge games. So at 8 o'clock games, we had some great games yesterday. The 8 o'clock game, we had Nuggets Warriors. And then a couple minutes later, we had the Bucks 76ers on a different channel. And this is also a marquee game because we got Giannis, Embiid not ducking this time. And I'm watching this game and I'm like, yo, everyone is talking about voter fatigue with Jokic. But I'm like, what about Giannis? Where's the voter fatigue talk with Giannis? He could very well be the MVP. All I'm hearing is Jokic, Embiid, Jokic, Embiid, Jokic, Embiid. What about Giannis? He could be the MVP. He's top 5 in points and rebounds. Top 5. He's giving you 31 and like 11 a game. Well, almost giving you 6 assists on 55% shooting. And he's arguably the best defender in the game with the best team record in the entire association. That is a number 1 MVP winning case right there. And we don't talk about it. Last night, he just outplayed Embiid in a win. Is that not an MVP statement? Where's the Giannis for MVP votes? Where are they at? We always talking about voter fatigue with Jokic. That's finally going to be Embiid's year because we're tired of giving it to Jokic. But what about the voter fatigue for Giannis? He also won back-to-back as well. And he's having a great season. Embiid's my MVP, but this is not a 2-man race. Giannis should be right there too. And if Giannis does win it, then ain't no problem. Because you can make a solid argument, like I just did, that Giannis is the MVP. I just hear all this like voter fatigue. And it's just like, I just hear voter fatigue all the time. It's like all only about Jokic. But what about Giannis? Like, what about Giannis? Everyone's saying Jokic and Embiid, like it's this 2-race. This is like this 2-man race, but it's really a 3-man race. Like, if Giannis wins, I would not be surprised at all. Because he was great last night. He outplayed Joel Embiid. He was 33 points, only missed 4 shots, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. He was great. He outplayed Embiid. Giannis outplayed Joel Embiid. 33 points, 4 shots missed, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, 1 steal. It's insane. Why we never talk about Giannis for MVP. He could very well win it. Okay, at the end of the show, we're going to talk about baseball. So, all my viewers are going to go down. I tried talking about baseball on the Friday show that it deleted, but the internet was terrible. It was just sloppy. And I had a huge headache on Friday, too, which did not help. I was this close to not even doing the show. So, but baseball opening weekend from Thursday to Sunday, the opening series Teams either played 3 or 4 games to open the MLB season, the 2023 year. And I'm watching a lot of games this season because I love the game of baseball. Shout out to Pool Host in the back. And I'm watching these series, and I'm like, yo, MLB is a better experience viewing-wise now than it was last season. I'm already seeing huge improvements. I like watching this season more than I like watching the previous seasons. And it's interesting because the MLB for a long time has been a very conservative league. Rule change, like when thinking about all the leagues in America, MLS, MLB, not MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL. These are leagues that are more fluid when it comes to changing their rules. Changing rules, adding an additional game to the end of the season, adding another playoff spot, opening the game for this, adding all these reviews, making the game more flowing for the offense. And they do it whenever it seems like there's an issue and they quickly solve it. But the MLB, for years, it just seems like it took them a while to add that extra wild card spot. It took them a while to make a more offensive-friendly league because it's the oldest league out of all the leagues I just brought up. So they're so conservative in preserving that old traditional game. Baseball is run by a lot more old people than all these other sports are. So it's very more conservative. But changes finally got done because, let's face it, MLB, viewership was down the drain. And stadiums, no one's going to games. Stadiums are getting emptier and emptier. Viewership's down the drain. It finally woke up the MLB, and they made some great changes. And because let's face it, bro, people do not want to watch 3 to 4 hour baseball games. Do you? And I'm not talking about like some guy with with nothing going on in his life. Even then, if you have nothing to go on in your life, I wouldn't watch a 3 to 4 hour baseball game. Talking about for the average American, who's probably the average baseball fan, who has like a 9 to 5, maybe has like a kid. Those guys aren't sitting down to watch a 3 or 4 hour baseball game. Other sports, I'll watch a 3 or 4 hour game because it comes on once a week. But if baseball is unique because you play a team 3 to 4 days in a row, the same team in the same place, and the same batters over and over again, other than the pitchers changing. You're going to watch a 3 to 4 hour game when you could watch that game this time, expect a similar result. You're going to watch that? You're not watching that 3 to 4 hour game when they come on every day. MLB needed a change. And here are the changes. The pitch clock. I love it. It's speeding up the game. The games are already 20 to 30 minutes faster. They already are. And it's great. Some of these games are in the summer. The hot summer. Imagine you're going out in hot summer of Cincinnati. It's 90 degrees. You're sitting watching the Reds Pirates, and it's 3.5 hours long. There's no way that's marketable. 3 or 4 hours you're watching the Reds Pirates, two of the worst teams in the MLB. You're sitting there for 3 or 4 hours in Great American Ballpark, hot sun, watching a slow game. When they also play tomorrow and the game before. You're not watching that, bro. You're not watching that. So the pitch clock's speeding up. Games are historically faster, and I love it. It feels like games are flying by. Opening day flew by. I'm watching the game, and I can't watch every flipping back and forth games. Start a game in the first inning, go to another game or do some homework. I come back. It's already the bottom set. I'm like, whoa. Usually that time span that I just passed, it would usually, when I come back, it would probably be the fourth inning. Now it's the seventh. Games are going faster. I love this underrated rule where you can't throw over the base 3 times. So, when first baseman, pitchers, they love to check the player on first to kind of keep him honest, keep him back from stealing, prevent him from stealing, keep him on first base. And a lot of pitchers throw over to kind of keep him honest or to maybe try to get him out, but, getting him out doesn't work all the time. It's kind of just to keep him on base. Pitchers do that a lot. They do that every baseball game I've at least been to multiple times. And when they do it 2 times in a row, the fans let them have it. They boo every single time. You'll notice if you've been in a baseball game, when pitchers constantly throw over to first base to keep that first base runner on base, they boo. It's because it takes the game too long. you're already going through your pitching technique. You're already on the mound, walking back and forth, pacing, doing your pitching technique. It takes like 3 minutes in between each pitch. And now you're thrown over to first base like 5 times. It slows the game down so much. Now they eliminated where you can only do it twice. And if you throw it over 3 times, I think it's an automatic walk to second base. So no one could do it 3 times anymore. So as a result, a lot more base runners, they're stealing a second on that third throwback, and it's increased. Not on the third throwback, but like on a area where on like a time in a game where someone's already thrown to you twice. So when they throw it 2 straight times, they know they can't overthrow over the third straight time. They're already going. They feel like they're more confident stealing second. And we're seeing more steals than last season. I think opening day, I'm like, 3 to 4 times the steals as opening day of 2022. Crazy. And, it makes the game more exciting. And anything when more people are getting on closer to the home plate, they're getting to that second or third base, more runners are on those type of bases, and makes the game have more stakes and makes it more exciting because they're in better scoring position. And speaking of more scoring, the shift's gone. I hate the shift. It almost ruined some players' careers because their batting average took a huge dip. Infielders were stacking aside because they knew a ground ball was just automatically coming to that infield side, stacking the left side, shifting the right. Now that the shift's gone, you can only have in between second base, you can only have 2 infielders on each side. You can't stack 3, you can't do all that moving, which means more runs because more balls are going through in between defenders. And shift prevented balls going through gaps. Now more balls are going through gaps, which means more runs. More runs, more fun. High-scoring games, more fun. We don't like those 1-0 games. We like 6-3. We like 7-5, 11-9. We don't like 1-0, 2-1. We don't like that. We don't like low batting averages. We like dudes batting high. We like dudes getting on base. We don't like innings where no one's getting on base because they're just hitting a bunch of ground balls into a shift. We don't like that. So the shift's gone. That's great. And with the World Baseball Classic that just happened on top of these rule changes, because the World Baseball Classic brought a lot of attention, especially overseas attention, to the MLB. And now we got these rule changes that's going to make the game more fun. The MLB is going in the right direction. I think the energy now this MLB season, I haven't checked the rate of attendance because it is opening week, so attendance is going to be at all time. It's going to be at probably the highest it's going to be till like the playoffs or some weekends in the summer. But I'm going to check during the midseason where attendance stands from last year, because I think now with the World Baseball Classic bringing all this energy and more fun and international attention to baseball and these rule changes allowing more runs because some high-scoring games over the weekend, baseball's in a great place. But that's it for me on the 26th episode of Some Casual Takes. I hope I didn't have internet issues throughout this episode. I keep seeing on StreamYard, I have this internet symbol. It's scaring me. It's popped up so many times. If I'm going to rewatch this to clip this up, and it's probably ruined the stream. It probably cut in and out. But I have to upload this anyways. But to the people who I see who are in here, thank you for watching. You know where to find me on Friday. We're going to go live with a bunch of people. Hopefully they show up. And we're going to talk about end of the season NBA. It's going to be an entire NBA episode, unless something else happens in other sports I want to talk about. But it's going to be a whole NBA episode because I got a lot of people hitting me up, a lot of creators hitting me up saying they want to be on the show. So I'm going to get them in there. And Friday show, 12 to 1 o'clock. And I'm trying to start closer to 12. But between 12 and 1 o'clock, I'm going to fire up. And on Monday of next week, that's also going to be a final season NBA show as well, because the last week of the games is on Sunday, and then we have a break and then play-in. So we have a lot to talk about, like the best teams, most underrated, overrated teams, power rankings, end of season thoughts on record standings, who got eliminated, stuff like that. That's going to come in the next 2 shows. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Stephen Pepper, and I'll see you Friday.